Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva 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 Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajapacharya Astotara Sata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everybody. So today is a special day. It is Hera Panchami, which is one of the ceremonies that take place in the Jagannath Puri Ratha Yatra ceremony. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Is this your first time here? Okay, welcome. So I'll try to explain it. It's maybe a little bit, some things might be a little bit new to you, but I'll try my best to explain it. Oh yeah, sure. Maybe one more clip? Oh, and this one on. a little bright. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamshta. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're just invoking the blessings of the spiritual master to help us to guide our words so that we can speak something about the glories of Sri Jagannath, who is Krishna himself. So Lord Jagannath means the Lord of the universe. So God has many names, and one of the names is Jagannath. Nath means Lord, and Jagat means the universe. So he's the Lord of the universe. And Lord Jagannath, he has a special form. If you see his form, he has very big eyes and a big smile, because the Supreme Lord is very much eager for a relationship with each one of us. Like, we're part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have a very sweet, intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord, and the Lord is eager for that relationship. So Jagannath, if you see a picture of Lord Jagannath, he has very big eyes, because he's always looking how to interact with his different devotees, and he has a big smile because he's always blissful. Actually, God is always blissful, and we, constitutionally, we're also always blissful. We're part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, so we're also internally always blissful. But sometimes when we get caught up in this world, we forget that internal feeling of actually when we connect to our real self in connection to Krishna, then we become very happy. So Jagannath, if you go to India, in the eastern part of India, there is a place called Orissa, where there's a big temple. It's in Jagannath Puri, and that temple is dedicated to Jagannath, who is Krishna himself, and his brother Balaram, who is Baladev, and his sister Subhadra. So if you ever see, you'll see Jagannath there on the right side. In the middle is their sister Subhadra, and on the left is brother Balaram. And once a year, the devotees take Jagannath from the temple, and they in a procession, they bring Jagannath down the main street of Jagannath Puri, where everyone gets to see Jagannath. And so it's actually in Jagannath Puri, it just happened a few days ago, like 5 days ago. And it's one of the biggest events. Like there's thousands and thousands of people on the streets. I've not been there for that festival, but these carts that the Lord, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra are on, they're huge, huge, massive carts, and people are pulling them with ropes. Actually, there's an English word called juggernaut, which means like a big, a big force that's moving. So it comes from that Ratha Yatra festival where they're pulling Jagannath. And the significance of this procession, one significance is that the Lord in the temple, once a year, he comes out to give everyone his audience. And so everybody will be able to see him, everyone will be able to render some service to him, and then he gets to see everybody also. And everyone gets extremely blissful and blessed from that occasion. Another significance is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, has different moods. And one of his moods is of awe and opulence, like he displays his opulence. And he has a specific place where he has that. It's Vaikuntha. It's the world where the Lord is like a king. He has all the opulences. And then, it's kind of like if you consider a person who may have like a different identities. Like, for example, when he goes to work, he dresses in a certain way. And then he has a certain persona and different kind of mood. And then when he comes home, he dresses in another way and he has a different mood, different intimate relationships with his relatives at home. So in the same way, when Krishna is in the mood of that opulent kind of mood, he's in a certain situation, a certain dress. He has that, his servants in that mood, they like to serve him with a lot of opulent things, like nice jewels and all these kind of very beautiful things. And then he has his really intimate family that's in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is Krishna's personal home, his personal abode, where he has very sweet, intimate relationships with his devotees there. In Vrindavan, people don't consider him as God. They consider him as their most intimate friend. So he has friends who just, joke with him and sometimes wrestle with him and tease him. He has his mother and father who sometimes chastise him. He has his, even has his girlfriends who are, also sometimes chastise him. And he has his servants, he has his, but everything there is all in a mood of love and devotion. It's not, in a mood of complete spontaneous love without any of the awe and reverence of, oh, you're the Lord and I bow down to you. It's very, very a high level of devotional service that at our level we may not be able to understand it or be able to even enter into it at our stage, but we can appreciate that the Supreme Lord has his intimate devotees that he likes to have intimate dealings with. Just like if you consider a very big person like the king or a president, he has his duties, like he goes to his office, he makes his speeches and he's very formal. But then he also wants to have a time where he can just relax with his family and friends and not be so formal. And his mother can sometimes say something to him and joke with him and say, oh, why were you late for dinner? And like that kind of thing. He likes that. He appreciates having that opportunity too, not just 24 hours a day being that formal person, president or king or whatever. So God is similar. So the Jagannath Ratha Yatra, when they're pulling Jagannath, another significance of it is they're pulling the Lord from that opulent worship back to Vrindavan, which is that very intimate, sweet place where they worship Krishna. So the residents, there's a whole story about that, but at one point Krishna left Vrindavan, apparently. He never leaves Vrindavan, but apparently he left Vrindavan to go to Dwarka. And the residents of Vrindavan are feeling so much separation from Krishna, they just want to bring him back to Vrindavan. So this is signifying they're pulling the Lord back to Vrindavan. And another significance is we are trying to pull the Lord into our hearts. So when we're pulling the Rath Yatra, the Jagannath Rath Yatra, we're trying to tell Krishna, please come into my heart. Please help me to develop my relationship with you, because I am missing you so much. I really want to know you more. Please come, please come. So that's another significance of Rath Yatra. So in Jagannath Puri, once a year, this procession happens. And like I said, there's 3 huge chariots. They bring the Lord from the temple. And Jagannath is very, very big and heavy. He's made of wood, the deity of Jagannath. He's made of wood, and he's very, very heavy and takes many men to carry him. So they're like rocking him and they're carrying him from pillow to pillow. And then when they have to carry him up to the chariot, it takes a lot of work. And finally they place the Lord on the chariot, take his sister, his brother Baladev, and then they all start to pull the chariot. Thousands of people are pulling the ropes of the big carts or big chariots, and it takes maybe, I don't know exactly how long it takes, but at least 1 day or more to go from the temple of Jagannath Puri, where the Lord resides, to a special place quite a distance away called Gundicha, which is a smaller temple that's placed in a beautiful garden setting. So when the Lord is there, he remembers Vrindavan. That's that intimate, sweet, his home, right? His home. So it's basically pulling him from his workplace to his home place, kind of, if you consider it like that. So they're pulling Jagannath, and during that procession, when they're pulling Jagannath, everybody else who's there, they're all singing. So singing is also an expression. Like we were doing this whole morning program, we were doing a lot of singing, and some people dance also because it's an expression of joy. And when you're happy, you just naturally dance. So people there are singing, they're playing musical instruments, just like we have here, like the mridanga, the kartal, the cymbals, and different instruments. And they're dancing because they're feeling so happy that the Lord is coming and giving his audience to all of us, and we're pulling him into our hearts and bringing him back to his sweet home place that he wants to be. So that's the Rath Yatra ceremony. And finally, when the Jagannath gets to that temple, the Gundicha temple, which is a smaller temple in that garden area, they take the Lord off of the cart and they place him there in that temple. And then the Lord stays there for 9 days. And during that time where he's there for 9 days, there's another ceremony that happens on the 5th day. That's the day today. So about 5 days ago was the day where we celebrated Jagannath Rath Yatra, where in Jagannath Puri they celebrated it. And 5 days later, there is Hera Panchami. Panchami means 5, the 5th day. So there's another ceremony that happens on the 5th day, before Jagannath on the 9th day will return to his temple in Jagannath Puri. So on this day, Lakshmi Devi, Lakshmi Devi is the wife of the Supreme Lord, consort of the Lord, in that mood of opulence. So that's another inconceivable thing, is that Krishna, God, can have multiple names. He can have multiple manifestations or forms or different personalities. He can manifest himself in different ways. And his potencies or his consorts also can do that. So Lakshmi is his wife in that mood of she's the queen, basically, right? He's the king and she's the queen. And then when Krishna is in the mood of being at home, he has his other more intimate relationships. And it's the same Lakshmi ji, but in other forms. So that's as best as I can try to explain it. But so Lakshmi, her husband left on this procession, and he said he was just going to be away for a short time, but he's been away for already 5 days, and she's getting a little bit annoyed because she's wondering, why is he going and spending time in this, simple place? I want him back. And so she comes out on a procession, and there's a deity of Lakshmi made of gold, and she's opulently dressed, and her palanquin is beautiful with a lot of jewels and gold, and they carry that palanquin all the way to Gundicha, and there she tells Jagannath to come back, and she's angry. She's in an angry mood. She's like annoyed. How come you spent so much time? And the servants of Lakshmi are in that mood too of it's a playful kind of how do you say, like a like when you have good friends, they can like playfully joke with each other. So the servants of Lakshmi, they kind of yell at the servants of Jagannath and say, "You better bring him back soon." So the wife is angry at her husband, basically, and she's in an angry mood. And then she goes back to the temple. But still, Jagannath takes another 4 days before he comes back. But eventually he does come back. So this is the of that festival, Hera Panchami. Now, in order to understand all of this, we actually get all this information from the Vedic scriptures, which are, in our tradition, we have quite a vast amount of knowledge about the Supreme Lord, about his associates, about the spiritual world. And one of the books that we have Bhagavad Gita, which is our main book, which is Krishna spoke it to Arjuna. Then we have Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the encyclopedia of all the Vedic knowledge. And then this is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a 9-volume series, which contains all of the activities of Krishna in the mood of when Krishna appeared about 500 years ago as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya. Krishna, sometimes every once in a while, God comes to this world to display his sweet activities to try to attract us to come back to him. And about 500-something years ago, he appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a beautiful golden complexion. Krishna is usually a darkish complexion. In this form, he appears in a beautiful golden form. And in this form, he is in the mood of showing the example of how to be a good servant of the Lord. So just like a teacher, when a teacher wants to explain something to a student, she may pretend to be a student herself and say, "I don't know, what is 2 + 2?" And then the students can go, "Oh, it's 4. Oh, really? Can you explain that to me?" And then students have to explain to the teacher. And then the teacher takes that role as a student to show how to the process of learning. So in this case, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes in that mood of a devotee to show how to practice God conscious or bhakti yoga so that we can learn the process. So God himself comes to teach us how to do it. That we have this book that has all of basically it's the life story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from all the way through his life. And at one part of his life, he lived in Orissa, which is the place I talked about where Jagannath Puri is, that temple where Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra are. And he lived there, and every year during these pastimes of the Ratha Yatra ceremony, the Lord would participate in them and encourage all of the devotees to participate in these activities, in these festivals. So if we hear about the festivals through the eyes of Lord Chaitanya, how he participated in the festivals, then we get more of an insight of how our mood should be and how to do it ourselves. So I wanted to read a little bit from this book because it will give us an insight of how Lord Chaitanya celebrated Jagannath Rath Yatra and Hera Panchami, that festival I just explained. So this is from Madhya Leela, chapter 14, Performance of the Vrindavan Pastimes. And I'm reading from text 61. But before I do that, I think, Ishwar, would you mind getting the other microphone? Because this one's kind of going in and out. I'm not sure. It may be the battery. So. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. All the servants of Lord Jagannath then took him down from the car, which is the big chariot, and the Lord went to sit on his throne. So after the Rath Yatra, they took him down from the chariot, they put him on the throne in that Gundicha temple, that simple, sweet temple in that beautiful area that looks like Vrindavan with a lot of gardens. And Subhadra, who is the sister, and Balaram, the brother, also sat on their respective thrones. There followed the bathing of Lord Jagannath and finally the offering of food. So just now, Radha Golokananda are being offered food. So everything that we do, like when we cook, we offer it also to the Lord. So whatever we do, we first offer it to the Lord and then we accept it as the mercy. So if we cook for Krishna, and then we eat after he eats, because then we get the mercy because he first ate it, and then we take the remnants. So Jagannath was offered the food there. While Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra sat on their respective thrones, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees began to perform Sankirtan with great pleasure, chanting and dancing in the yard of the temple. So they began to chant and dance and do kirtan, which is the glorification of the Lord. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting and dancing, he was overwhelmed in ecstatic love, and all the people who saw him were flooded in the ocean of love of Godhead. In the evening, after finishing his dancing in the yard of the Gundicha temple, the Lord observed the arati ceremony. So arati is when we offer the different items to the Lord, like we offer incense, is just nice smelling substance. We offer a lamp, which is like indicating our lamp of our love. We're offering flowers, fragrant flowers, and different articles we offer to the Lord. Thereafter, he went to a place called Aitota and took rest for the night. For 9 days, 9 chief devotees headed by Advaita Acharya got an opportunity to invite the Lord to their homes for lunch. Lord Chaitanya, after taking his early morning bath, would go see Lord Jagannath in the temple. Then he would perform Sankirtan with his devotees. By chanting and dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu induced Advaita Acharya to dance. Sometimes he induced Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, and Achyutananda to dance. Sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged Vakreshvara and other devotees in chanting and dancing. So 3 times daily, morning, noon, and evening, he would perform Sankirtan in the yard of the Gundicha temple. At this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt that Lord Krishna had returned to Vrindavan. Thinking this, his feelings of separation from Krishna subsided. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and he remained personally merged in this consciousness. There were many gardens near the Gundicha temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees used to perform the pastimes of Vrindavan in each of them. In the lake named Indradumna, he sported in the water. The Lord personally splashed all the devotees with water, and the devotees surrounding him on all sides also splashed the Lord. While in the water, they sometimes formed one circle, sometimes many circles. And while in the water, they used to play cymbals and imitate the croaking of frogs. So they would have a lot of fun. They would have water fights and different kind of activities in the water. So when the devotees are not just always serious, they also have fun, sweet relationships with each other. So here Lord Chaitanya is showing that he could have also fun with his devotees. So he would do kirtan in front of the Lord, and that which is the chanting and dancing with the musical instruments. Then he would perform the different pastimes or activities of the Lord. They would enact them in the different gardens, and then they would play in the water. And this was happening for 9 days. And finally, the next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went to the temple of Gundicha and saw the Lord. He then chanted and danced in the yard for some time. Accompanied by his devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went into the garden and enjoyed the pastimes of Vrindavan. There were multifarious trees and creepers in the garden, and they were all jubilant to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, the birds were chirping, the bees were buzzing, and a cool breeze was blowing. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced beneath each and every tree, Vasudev Dutt sang. As Vasudev Dutt sang a different song beneath each and every tree, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced there alone in great ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Vakreshwar Pandit to dance, and as he began to dance, the Lord began to sing. Knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, King Prataparudra, so the king of Orissa, of Jagannath Puri, his name was Prataparudra, and he talked to his minister Kashi Mishra. Tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami or Lakshmi Vijay. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. King Prataparudra said, hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Take as many printed cloths, small bells, umbrellas, and chamras as there are in my storehouse and in the Didi's storehouse. Collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells. Then decorate the carrier and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, decorate the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Prasadam is a spiritual food, sanctified food. Make so much that it will even surpass the Ratha Yatra festival. Arrange the festival in such a way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may freely go with all of his devotees to visit the Didi without difficulty. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath in Gundicha. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to that big temple that they went back from that Gundicha temple. They went all the way back to the big temple because they wanted to see the Hera Panchami festival. Kashi Mishra received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great respect, and taking the Lord and his associates to a very nice place, he had them seated. After taking his seat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about particular mellow of devotional service. Therefore, mildly smiling, he began to question Swarup Damodar. And here, there is a sweet conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his dear, most confidential servant, Swarup Damodar. And he's asking, how come the Lord, who's the Lord of the universe, wants to come to a simple place called Vrindavan? And then there's a whole discussion about how Vrindavan is not just an ordinary place. It's the highest abode of the Lord. Even though it's simple, it's full of sweet, sweet opulence. It's even higher than the opulence of the kingly majesty of the Lord. So there's a sweet conversation between Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar, and at this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told, wait, hold on one second. So while they're talking, While Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were talking, the procession of the goddess of fortune came by. She was riding upon a golden palanquin carried by 4 men and bedecked with a variety of jewels. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamras, whisks, and flags, and it was preceded by musicians and dancing girls. The maidservants were carrying water pitchers, chamra whisks, and boxes for betel nuts. There were hundreds of maidservants, all attractively dressed and wearing valuable necklaces. In an angry mood, the goddess of fortune arrived at the main gate of the temple, accompanied by many members of her family, all of whom exhibited uncommon opulence. When the procession arrived, the maidservants of the goddess of fortune began to arrest all the principal servants of Lord Jagannath. The maidservants bound the servants of Jagannath, handcuffed them. It's not really handcuffed. It's more like a play kind of thing, and made them fall down at the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune. Indeed, they were arrested just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. So it's like a kind of like a drama, a little bit, to see this scenario of the wife is angry and her servants are kind of yelling at the other servants, and it's all like a playful kind of drama. So everyone who's watching it is kind of laughing and smiling. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is relishing this mood of the different devotees who have different moods with the Lord. Finally, the goddess of fortune returned to her apartment. In due course of time, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, afternoon arrived. After much singing, all 4 Sankirtan parties grew fatigued. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love increased twofold. So he was dancing and dancing in so much ecstasy. Finally, one of the devotees had to tell him, the devotees are getting a little tired and hungry. Maybe you can stop now. So the Lord stopped, and he went to this flower garden. They all took a bath, and then they had wonderful feast, opulent feast that had been offered to Jagannath and the goddess of fortune. So that was the ceremony of Hera Panchami, and then the Lord stayed there for another 4 days, and then there was a procession where they bring Jagannath back to that big temple in Odisha, the Jagannath Puri temple. So today we're commemorating Hera Panchami, which to me, it is the part that really stands out to me is that the Lord is personal. He has loving relationships, and he reciprocates with our moods of devotion to him. So those devotees who like to worship the mood in awe and reverence, the Lord reciprocates. And those devotees who like the mood of spontaneous simplicity and just that pure love without any of the kind of the formality, the Lord reciprocates with that too. And the Lord is so kind that he just wants that loving relationship with all of us. And if we can somehow or other, at whatever stage we're at in our spiritual life, just know that there is that supreme personality of Godhead who loves us and who wants our love. And when we can enter into that relationship with the Lord, we'll be the most blissful, most happy, because that's what we're really craving. We're trying to put other things into our life to try to satisfy that craving, and nothing else is really satisfying it. But when we really can develop that relationship with Krishna, and if we can do that with the help of all of the devotees who do love Krishna, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we will be really, really blissful and happy in life. So I wanted to see if anyone wanted to add anything. Yes, or yeah. Yes. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Whenever Jagannath wants. This Saturday. This Sunday, yeah. So, yeah. Yes. So please come on Sunday at 4:00. We're going to have a special ceremony. We're going to depict all of this, what I just told. It's all going to be depicted, so that's going to be really exciting. And then afterwards, we're going to have that big feast, or like a traditional feast that's served in Jagannath Puri afterwards. So. Shri Jagannath Rath Yatra ki jai, Hera Panchami ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai.
Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Kanvandam Maravindanalayataptam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham
Hare Krishna.
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Page 9. Bhajahure mana Shinandanandana Bhaya Charanara Vendare Bhajahure mana Shinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Bhajahure mana Shinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vendore Bhajahure mana Shinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vendore Durlabha manava janama satsange Durlabha janama satsange Durlabha manava janama satsange janama satsange Taroho e bhava sindure Taroho e bhava sindure Shita tapa bata parishana Edina jamini jagire Tapa bata parichana Edina jamini jagire Vipale sevino kripana durajana Chapala sukala bala gire Chapala sukala bala gire Edana yobana putra parijana Ite kiache parati tire Edana yobana putra parijana Ite kiache parati tire Kamala dala jala jivana tala mala Kamala dala jala jivana tala mala Bhajahu hari pada nitire Bhajahu hari pada nitire Shravana kirtana smarana vandana pada sevana dasyare Shravana kirtana smarana vandana pada sevana dasyare Pujana Saki Jana Atma Nivedana Saki Jana Atma Nivedana Govinda Dasa Bilasare Govinda Dasa Bilasare Bhajahure mana Shinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vendare mana Shinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vendare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe Ananda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which make one fearless, having obtained this rare human birth. cross over this ocean of worldly existence by associating with saintly persons. Day and night I remain sleepless, suffering heat and cold, wind and rain. For a bit of flickering happiness I have vainly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youth, sons, and relatives? This life totters like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore you should always worship the lotus feet of Lord Hari. Govinda Das longs to hear the glories of Lord Hari, chant his glories, constantly remember him, offer him prayers, serve his lotus feet, become his servant. Offer his feet. It's a repetition. And completely offer him his very self. Srila Govinda Das Kaviraj Ki Jai. Vanamarjanam Vavamaha.
Practice tattarpitani amita smaranena kala etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdeva mitrisham yajani nanuraga trinadapi sunichena tarorapi shahishuna amani namanadena kirtanya sadahari nadanam najanam nasundrim Kavitam va jagadisha samiye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti raituki tvai ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishme bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankaja stitaduli sadishya vichintaya nayanam galadashrudharaya vadanam gadgadrudaya gira Pulake nichitam vapu kada tavanama grahane vavishyati yogayitam nimishena chakshusha pravishayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virhena me aslisya vapadaratam panashtumam adashanam marmato karutuva yatha tatha vaviddatu lampato Mata prananathas tu saeva nabara. Victory to Shri Krishna's Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all that has accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. For I am unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.